So this beast you're looking at is the KV2. Basically a bunker with tracks and a turret the size of a small apartment. It's big, it's clunky, and I absolutely loved building it. Still needing the return rollers for the kit, I lucked out and found the original parts from a KV1 kit, which had the same return rollers. However, those KV1 parts had no detail, so I wasn't sure what kit they came from. So I had to separate the rollers from the KV2 parts and add them onto the KV1 pieces. That way, I got the right detail where it counts, front and back, and it worked out perfectly. That was one of the major issues solved. Tamiya did send me return rollers from the new KV2 kit, but that didn't work out at all. I was really lucky to find the older parts and get past that hiccup. With that hurdle behind me, I was finally able to use some of the parts Tamiya did send me and get this tank ready for the finishing touches. Before I could attach some of those parts, I had to fill in the holes left behind where the original kit piece would have gone. A little extra work, but totally worth it. I grabbed some Tamiya epoxy putty, filled the holes, and started cutting away until it was pretty smooth, making the sanding way easier after that. I did have to make some adjustments to this part, which is always nerve-wracking because, well, there's only one of them. No pressure, right? I replaced a horrible kit tow cable with one I made from twisted wire. It just looks way more realistic. I cut off the end of the kit part, drilled it out, and carefully attached my homemade cable. Now came the real challenge, trying to attach the thing without it falling off 1,000 times. The nice part about using metal wire is that I could bend it however I wanted. The not so nice part is it still managed to fall off repeatedly. But don't worry, you get to see the flawless, frustration-free version here. Movie magic. And now we begin the noble task of taming the tow cable into position. It definitely helps to wait for the glue to dry before messing with it. But I was impatient and charged ahead anyway. What could possibly go wrong, right? First step was getting the bends just right, but every time I tried, the wire would twist and the plastic would pop off like it had somewhere better to be. But hey, it's starting to be tamed. Now I just need to wrangle it in that little, thingamajig, that part that holds the other end. You know the one. 10 points if you can let me know in the comment section what that part is called. Now, just a little Tamiya extra thin to lock the plastic ends down, and I can hit the metal parts with some VMS black to hold them in place. These little details really go a long way in adding some realism to your builds. Twisted wire might look hard to do, but it's actually pretty simple. Give it a try sometime. I decided to add a figure to this build. Now, my skills in that department are, let's say, developing, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. I'm not filming the process though, partly because it's experimental and partly because it might scare you off the hobby. The figure I'm using is from the kit, and surprise, it didn't go together very smoothly. I had to fill some perfectly noticeable gaps just to make it presentable. Now, my main problem with figure painting is, of course, faces. I can handle most other areas, but badly painted face? That can ruin more than just a figure. It can take attention away from the whole model. I'm still going to give it my best shot though. I'll watch some videos, flip through a few books, and try to pick up some tips. But if it ends up going the way it usually does, well, let's just say this guy's not taking down my hard work on the KV. I'll bench him if I have to. One other thing that held up this build for a while was the tracks. The kit rubber ones? Yeah, that was a hard no. I needed something better. The only problem, my wallet had more cobwebs than cash, and every time I thought about spending money, I would have to deal with the hawk. But hey, I pulled off a victory on eBay and scored a set of ride fuel tracks for a KV1 tank. Not bad. Now, these tracks are actually for a different brand of KV, so the big question wasn't will they fit, but will there be enough of them? And they go together with tiny pins. Looks like a lot of fun, right? Yeah, not. There are actually two types of pins in this set, some with little nuts on the ends, and some that are flat. So before I commit, I'm cutting a few links and doing some test fitting. I did notice on the box art for my KV shows the flat type pins, so that might be the way to go. These links have connection points on both ends that need to be removed. So that's double the sanding. Fun, fun, fun. This is going to be a long process. Cobwebs and all, honestly, at this point, it might have been better to just stay broke and drop that money on the Fujimile tracks. Fujimile. I still can't say it. Oh, and excuse my fingers covered in black primer. Later in this video, the tank will magically appear primed, like some kind of modeling sorcery. Alright, now back to the frustration of getting these tracks together. Alright, I got a decent amount put together, enough to figure out I'll need about 90 links per side. So I counted what I've got, and good news, there's enough links even for a few spares. The problem? Not enough pins. But hey, if I cut up the other type of pins, I can make it work. Fun, fun, fun. Somehow it just got even worse. These pins are supposed to just pop in and bam, you've got workable tracks. Sounds great in theory. In reality, I kept losing pins left and right, and with a limited supply, that's not ideal. So I ended up gluing them in place, and then re-gluing them, and re-gluing the ones I thought were fine. It turned into a whole event. While dealing with these tracks, I ended up watching a bunch of TV, mostly Richard Dawson on Family Feud. That guy kisses everybody, even the ugly ones. Name something that's not fun while building a model tank. Separate track links? Show me separate track links. Bing! Now to see if I have enough. And I do. In the end, I think I'll have to glue them in place to get that nice natural sag over the return rollers. But for only $16.49, these were a steal. Once they're painted up, they're going to look fantastic. She's looking a little bare and definitely needs something extra. I got some spare tracks to add up front and along the side, but the back needs some proper storage. I gathered up some German jerry cans. Yeah, I know, not exactly Soviet issue. I guess the Russians could have used American ones under the Lend-Lease, but I didn't have any of those lying around. I also threw in some veggies and, of course, a bucket. I think I've made it official. I'm always adding a bucket to my builds. I should probably just order a whole pile of them. Bucket stockpile, here we come. What did I make that tarp out of, you ask? It's some Tamiya epoxy putty rolled out with a bit of baby powder. The powder helps it not to be sticky so you can manipulate. Yeah, I butchered that. Somewhere an English teacher just felt a disturbance in the force. So, instead of me going back and forth explaining how I did this, you can just watch the process unfold, literally. Meanwhile, I'll throw in a bit of my usual chewing the screw style. And don't forget to check out my, oh, that's the ice machine, did you hear it? Current volumes up above, and if you want more of this kind of stuff, just check that out. This is my first time doing this, and it's the kind of thing you really got to experiment with to get the hang of it. So let's get started. Let's begin the chew. Let's talk about that project you're just itching to start. Well, mine's brewing too, but I can't say much just yet. I want it to be a total surprise. Trust me though, subscribe now because it's gonna be a doozy. That's if I can pull it off, and I will pull it off. So subscribe now. So, what's that one ghost of a kit that you've been wanting to build? The one that would probably push everything else off the bench the second you got your hands on it. For me, it's not even a tank or a military model. It's actually an older kit I tried to build when I was a kid, but I ended up playing with it instead and, well, lost half the parts. Total chaos, but one day, I'm gonna take another crack at it. This is the spooky kit I've been wanting to get my hands on again. Those are little hints to that one build I want to do, just by the way. So, I want to get my hands on this again. Problem is, it goes for hundreds of dollars on eBay since it's a long out of production. But hey, maybe one day we'll get a re-release. It's just such a cool kit. It came with helicopters, sharks, and all kinds of goodies. And you could probably see why kid me had way more fun playing with it than actually building it. Spoiler alert, go ahead 2 minutes if you don't want to know and you want to go in fresh. Okay, I can't hold it in any longer. I have to tell you my plans for my very first Reimagine Build playlist. Okay, go ahead 2 more minutes just to be safe. Alright, trust me, you're gonna want to see this one unfold, so hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. You won't want to miss it. Okay, here it is. My idea is to build a ghost tank. Yep, you heard that right, a ghost tank. How am I gonna pull this off? Well, I'm still in the planning stages right now, watching videos and picking up different techniques to bring it to life. The plan is to use a Tamiya Panzer IV F kit with the full crew up in the hatches driving. Oh, hold on a second. I gotta kill a fly. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. That's a confirmed kill, by the way. Alright, where were we? Okay, driving down a dusty road somewhere in Africa. But here's the twist. It's going to look like a ghostly echo of the past. Think spooky, think surreal, think modeling outside the box. And those are clicks. I hate them. Sometimes they're unavoidable. So yeah, you're definitely going to want to be around for this one. Alright, back to the build. So yeah, adding baby powder to epoxy definitely helps keep it from sticking everywhere. But the flip side, sometimes it doesn't stick where you actually need it to. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Less professional technique, and more please stay put, I'm begging you. The old shepherd paint method would have been to use tissue paper, you know, the kind you blow your honker with. Soak it with white glue and apply it to the model. It's actually a pretty effective way to make rolled tarps and bedrolls. Maybe one day I'll do a video on it, once I stop using all the tissues for modeling disasters and allergy season. Actually, I have no allergies, but it seemed like a good joke. I didn't make the tarp big enough, classic move, so I'm using some of the extra bits I cut off to add folds over the stowage. I'm using my clay tools to press in all kinds of impressions so you'll be able to see some of the gear poking through. Plus a bunch of nice fabric folds. Once painted, that's when the magic happens. Oh, if you made it this far, well, it's past my big reveal, but hey, you've gone too far now. You might notice some of the gear shifting around while I'm working on it, but once it dried, everything locked into place. That was a big click. Just need some paint and it should hopefully stay put for good. Fingers crossed. I've got a bit of OCD, so when I hear little mess ups like that, I really want to re-record, and trust me, it's killing me not to redo this one. But I'm trying to leave in a few for the joke appeal, so if you laughed even just a little, it's worth the suffering. Sometimes you just gotta say enough is enough. The stowage is done, so stop. And here she is, the KV2 in all her glory. She's come a long way, and honestly, I just love how she turned out, and can't wait to get her first coat of paint on her. Well, beyond the primer, that is. I want to try some color modulation on this build, but I think my MIG Russian set has dried out, so that experiment is on hold for another time. Probably best to wait until I get my upgraded airbrush anyway. For now, she's getting a solid coat of Tamiya paint and maybe a winter wash. I haven't quite decided yet. For a future diorama, I definitely want to do something with some Russian winter wheat. You know, that tall yellowish stuff. I think it would look really cool, but how do I pull that off? If you've got any ideas, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you've tried. Alright, the weathering video will be coming soon. Maybe even 2 parts if it runs long, since I like to show most of what I do. But until then, as always, a big thank you to all my subscribers and watchers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.